Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, everyone here at the drawing room with us this evening, to everyone watching along on our live stream as well. Those of you at home, there's no queue, there's no seat. You don't have to worry about the elbowing the stranger next to you, and it's much warmer and drier in the comfort of your own home. For those of you who haven't met yet, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim, and it is my privilege and my pleasure to be your auctioneer for this evening. Every auction, ladies and gentlemen, starts with our thank yous, and tonight it belongs to our vendors. Some of them here with us in the room this evening, some of us on the phone, and some of us watching live streaming at home. Handing a home to someone else to sell takes real trust, and it's never lost on us that behind each of these listings is a lifetime of your random, ordinary Thursdays and a good many Christmases. So to our owners, thank you for choosing Ray White Bendigo. Our selling agents that are in the room tonight, none of us would be standing here without you guys. The campaigns were sharp, and the number of bidders that we have tonight is testament to that work. The word for the two ladies, we've got Shanae up here helping me track the bids, and Sophia down the back, our campaign managers as well, helping to quietly run the show in the background and helping us look a lot better tonight than what we may actually really be. Jesse, once again, here from the drawing room, the lovely drinks that are available at the bar and our platter down the back of the room, so please do help yourself this evening. Now, for the investors that might be in the room this evening, just for a quick moment, you may already know that during the month of June, we are running the Make the Move campaign here at Ray White. If you've got a property currently sitting with another agency, now is the time for that quiet little nudge to maybe move your property across, and there are some lovely incentives to go along with it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's 5 properties up for auction tonight. There's one room, and we've got the whole night ahead of us. So let's set our expectations exactly where they need to be, and that is high. The auction this evening will be conducted in accordance with the rules and any additional conditions made available prior to the commencement of tonight's proceedings. The rules of the auction prevent the auctioneer from accepting bids or offers on the property after the property has been knocked down to the successful bidder. The rules do prevent false bids, it prevents major disruptions from bidders and bidders attempting to prevent others from bidding, and it provides significant fines for such conduct. Our vendors tonight, ladies and gentlemen, have set some very reasonable reserve prices. As the auctioneer, I will indicate bidders on request. The rules, however, ladies and gentlemen, do permit vendor bids. Only I, as the auctioneer, can place a bid on behalf of the vendor, and to indicate that I am doing so, I will quite simply use the words vendor bid. So, ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the properties this evening, are there any questions on the rules as we have read them, or any of the contracts that have been on display so far this evening and throughout the course of these campaigns? Love the confidence in the room. No questions means we get to go on to our first property.
Just listed via auction, 531 Napier Street, White Hills. My name's Matt Connolly, Ray White Real Estate.
Ladies and gentlemen, we begin tonight with the property described on Certificate of Title Volume 10550, Folio 004. A number I'll grant you, ladies and gentlemen, with very little romance. So we're going to use the name that it has proudly worn for over half a century, and that is 531 Napier Street in White Hills. The property is offered tonight for sale on an unconditional contract calling for a deposit of 10%, with settlement in a mere 30 days unless prior arrangements have been made through Matt and the team at Ray White Bendigo. Half a century, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely the headline here. Offered for the first time in over 50 years. In that time, one family, one home. So many great birthdays, Christmases. You can only imagine the stories that those walls have to tell. It comes to you in a genuine, original condition. What you see is exactly what you get, ladies and gentlemen. No filters, no flattery. Those generous bedrooms, the bathrooms, the multiple living areas, everything that you could possibly want sitting on around that 1,000 square metres. For the dreamers and the doers, the potential is the real prize. Renovate and restore, or look harder. Subdivision, dual occupancy, rooming, short stay, all subject to council approval, of course. A blank canvas for a tightly held, fast-growing pocket. Moments from, as you saw in the video, schools, botanic gardens, ovals, and shopping. Land, position, and possibly, as quietly held for 50 years, is now ready for its next chapter, ladies and gentlemen. Opportunities of this size and scope don't sit around waiting. So this is where it begins, ladies and gentlemen. Where do we see a fair and reasonable opening bid or offer for 531 Napier Street in White Hills? The quiet that we always hear at the beginning of those auctions, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in your hands. I'm happy to start wherever you like. No movement. Anything on the phones here, guys? We do have plenty of phone bidders with us this evening, ladies and gentlemen. As I said, we're happy to start it away wherever you like, and we can go forward from there. Like we always say, it doesn't matter where you start. It's always about where we finish, ladies and gentlemen. 531 Napier Street, that beautiful home in that perfect location. Exactly what people need. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no opening bid or offer, I'm happy to kick us off on a vendor bid, ladies and gentlemen. And under our instructions, we're going to kick the vendor bid off tonight, ladies and gentlemen, at $450,000. So it's with me and the vendor, ladies and gentlemen, at $450,000. Looking for a rise of 20 if we can. 450, looking for 470 now in the room. Anywhere you like. First call on a vendor bid at $450,000. Can we get to 470? We're still... 480 will take us now against you. So 480 in the room here, 480 against you both on the phone, 480,000. Can we get me up to 500 now, 480,000 on the phone here with Liam? I'll tell you what, at this point, we will take the 490. We'll go to the 10s now and the same opportunity back to you. Take me to 500 if you can now. We're at 490 with you, Liam, at the bar over there. 490,000 against you on the phone, Liam, and anyone else. Do we have 500 anywhere in the room? First call at 490,000.
Will you take 495, Tim?
We need to get to 500 at this point. We're not ready for fives just yet. Get me to 500. We're still a little bit off that reserve to where we need to be. So 490,000 at the bar over here on the phone, ladies and gentlemen, 490,000. First call at 490. Second call at 490. Third and final call at 490. It's with you. At this point, we haven't reached the reserve yet, so we'd be passing the property in to Liam's client on the phone over here, and they will have that exclusive right to negotiate with the vendor and see that reserve price. Last opportunity before we put it away now, ladies and gentlemen, 490,000. We're going to call it away one more time. If there's no further bid or offer, we're going to pass the property in over to you on the phone over here. 490,000. First call at 490. Second call, 490. Third and final call, 490 over here now. If there's no further bid or offer at this point, last opportunity. 490 over here, ladies and gentlemen. with no further bid or offer, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to pause for just one brief moment. We're just going to have a quick chat to the vendor and get some instructions, and we'll be right back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have just had a brief conversation with our vendor, and we had some very clear instructions, ladies and gentlemen. They are here to try to get these properties sold tonight, ladies and gentlemen. So we're currently at 490,000 over here with you, Liam, at the bar on the phone. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look for some more bids, see what we can get out of this property at the moment. So we're going to call it away one more time. If there's no further bid or offer to get in the lead, we will be passing the property in to your client on the phone over there, Liam. So ladies and gentlemen, for 531 Napier Street in White Hills, we're at 490,000. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it away one more time. First call at 490. Second call, 490. Third and final call, 490. Do we have any rise on 490,000? Do you still have that 495 there? So we're 490,000 over here. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further bids, no further offers or movement in the room, we'll be passing the property in to your client on the phone over there, Liam, and we'll start that negotiation period. Well, ladies and gentlemen, our second property is the land contained in Certificate of Title Volume 9456, Folio 280, better known to you and me and the postman, 71 to 73 Eaglehawk Road, Ironbark. The property again is offered for sale tonight on an unconditional contract, calling for a deposit of 10% with settlement in 30, 60 or 90 days, unless prior arrangements have been made through our team. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and for those who measure a home by what it can park, up to 6 vehicles, or depending on the size, 10, 11, who knows. Multiple sheds that off-road access to the property. If you've got a caravan, a boat, a tradies trailer, or simply too many projects, this block is exactly what you need. Add those 3 more spare or storage rooms. You got a layout flexible enough for a home office, a workshop, hobby rooms, or even all of the above. All of it sits on that expansive 1,730 square metres, just 5 minutes from the Bendigo CBD. There's scope to renovate, modernise and transform. But make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, the land and the shedding are the stars of this show. Space like this close to town, is not just unusual, it's rare. Once it's gone, the next one, ladies and gentlemen, is a long way off. So who wants to get us started here, ladies and gentlemen, 71 to 73 Eaglehawk Road in Ironbark? Start me away where you will. An opening bid or offer, anywhere you like, ladies and gentlemen. I'm in your hands. The quiet again. Absolutely, I can't even hear the coffee machine going over there. Thank you, Jesse. Thanks for helping me out, mate. I appreciate it. So, ladies and gentlemen, where do we see that fair and reasonable opening bid or offer for 71 to 73 Eaglehawk Road? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no opening bid anywhere in the room, we may have one over here on the phone. 680 we'll take, and we'll look for a rise now of 20 from there if we can. 680 on the phone, and we're looking for a rise to 700 now if we can, ladies and gentlemen. 680 on the phone. Any rise from here, ladies and gentlemen, 680,000. Where do we go from here, ladies and gentlemen? 680,000 on the phone. First call, second call, third and final call, ladies and gentlemen. Do we have any further bid or offer here on number 71 to 73 Eaglehawk Road in Ironbark? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no further bid or offer, I'll place a second vendor bid at this point, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll actually take us away now to 720 to get us a little bit closer to where we need to be, ladies and gentlemen. So the bid now with me and the vendor at 720,000 against you on the phone over here, Darcy. Where do we go from here now? Any rise from there to get back in front and have a look at that vendor's reserve price? 720,000, ladies and gentlemen. First call with me and the vendor at 720. 725 will take to put you back in front now. 725, any rise from there. Open to anyone in the room with the same offer. Happy to take 5s from here. 725 on the phone at the back of the room over here. First call at 725. Second call, 725. Third and final call, 725,000. Are we all done in silence? We're just seeking some instructions from our vendor, ladies and gentlemen, at 725,000, just to see where we go from here. We are getting closer to where that reserve has been set, ladies and gentlemen, at 725. Darcy's just seeking some instructions from our vendor. Once we have those instructions, we'll either be putting the property on the market or passing it into the phone bidder once again, ladies and gentlemen, and they can start that negotiation. Any further action, any further bids or offers in the room, ladies and gentlemen? We're at 725,000. We're just waiting for our instructions from the back room. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our instructions from our vendor at 725,000. If there's no further bid or offer, first, second, third and final call, 725,000. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be passing the property in to Darcy's phone bidder over here.
Welcome to 495 High Street, with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms set on over 620 square metres in the popular suburb of Golden Square, full of character and charm. Let's go take a look.
Listed without 1 ounce of charm, ladies and gentlemen, a certificate of title volume 11579 folio 586, which we, having actually walked through it, prefer to call it 495 High Street in Golden Square. Again, this property is for sale on an unconditional contract calling for a deposit of 10% with settlement in 30 days unless prior arrangements have been made through Ella and the team at Ray White. Well, with those 4 beautiful bedrooms, every one of them fitted with that double glazing, which is a polite way of saying warm in the winter, cool in the summer, and blissfully quiet all year round. The central bathroom that folds into the laundry, and beneath the carpet wait those original floorboards ready to be rediscovered the moment you're brave enough. The living area is warm, it's inviting, it's anchored by that ornate fireplace, and kept comfortable by the air conditioning while the kitchen comes fully equipped with all the appliances you could possibly need. Ready to use the day that you collect those keys, ladies and gentlemen, and you get to enjoy those established gardens that are on that tidy 620 square metre block. Here's the clever part, ladies and gentlemen, it's zoned to be able to be used as specialist rooms if needed. So whether you want a family, a smart investment, or a place to live and work under one roof, that is genuinely up to you. It's character you can't fake, it's comfort you can move straight into, and flexibility most homes can only dream of, ladies and gentlemen, all in the heart of Golden Square. So who'll see me away? Who wants to start us off for 495 High Street in Golden Square, ladies and gentlemen? I'm in your hands, anywhere you will from here. That is 3 from 3. I like it. That's where we like to start. We'll take the 500 at the back of the room with you, Ella, on the phone. 500,000, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll take a rise from there of 20, if you will. 500 with Ella on the phone over here, ladies and gentlemen, looking for a rise of 20 to 520, anywhere you will, or 500 over the back here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll call it away if need be. First call at 500. Second call, 500,000. Third and final call, ladies and gentlemen, with 5 and a bunch of zeros at the end of it. 500,000, ladies and gentlemen. Looking for that rise of 20 if you like, anywhere you will. You want to be in front because if this property does get passed in, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be able to exclusively negotiate with yourself to be able to secure that beautiful home in Golden Square. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no further bids or no further offer, I'm happy to kick things along again, ladies and gentlemen, under our instructions with a vendor bid. The vendor bid now, ladies and gentlemen, with me and the vendor over here at 550,000 now. 550 with me and the vendor, ladies and gentlemen. Any rise from here, looking for 570 if you can to get us closer to where that reserve is. 550 with me and the vendor, ladies and gentlemen. Any rise from here will put you in front. We like to be passing it in on that live bid if that's what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen. 550 on a vendor bid with me and the vendor, ladies and gentlemen. First call. Second call at 550. Third and final call, ladies and gentlemen, 550 on a vendor bid. I'd take even 560 at this point, ladies and gentlemen, if there's a rise of 10 just to get you back in front. We were looking for 570. Happy to bring it down to 560 if that helps you, ladies and gentlemen, just to get in front there. Both working the phones. I like what you're doing over here, guys, but we'll need some answers so we can move on. It's real hard tonight. They are making me earn the dollars tonight, ladies and gentlemen. That's okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it away one more time, and if there's no further rise on 550,000, we'll be passing it in on that vendor bid, ladies and gentlemen. First call, second, third and final call. Are we all done? We're all silent on the phone. Even $5,000 just to get back in front?
Have you considered dentistry yet?
It'd be a heck of a lot easier than this, I reckon, Darcy, but that's okay. Well, last opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take a 5,000 rise from here. Otherwise, we'll call it away and pass it in, ladies and gentlemen. First, 553. We'll take it to get you back in front. Do we go to 555 from here, or are we out at 550? 553, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in front here, so you'll have that exclusive right. There's no further bids or offers, ladies and gentlemen. We'll call it away. First, second, third and final call, 553,000. We're all done and silent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for the third time tonight, we'll be passing the property in to that phone bidder, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome to 3 Ross Street in White Hills, with 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms on 600 square metres, polished timber floors and an open plan. This property is sure to impress whether you're looking for your first home, a growing family or solid investment. Let's go take a look.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, property number 4 is recorded with the usual poetry tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Certificate of Title, Volume 8663, Folio 812. But this one, ladies and gentlemen, is known as 3 Ross Street in White Hills. So again, the property is being offered for sale on an unconditional contract, calling for that deposit of 10% with settlement in 30 to 60 days unless prior arrangements again have been made through Ella and the team at Ray White. The 4 bedrooms, the 2 bathrooms, a string of recent updates that mean most of the hard work has already been done for you. Comfort and style throughout without that renovation headache. Step outside to that proper entertaining deck overlooking the backyard, the natural home of that Sunday afternoon that nobody quite wants to end. All on that generous 618 square metre block with off-street parking and room to grow. Tucked into that convenient White Hills setting, you would have seen it's close to White Hills Primary, Waruna College, the Botanic Gardens and Gardens for the Future, and a very short stroll down to that White Hills township. For families, first home buyers and investors alike, ladies and gentlemen, it's about as easy as buying decisions come. It's updated, it's easy and ready to enjoy from day one, ladies and gentlemen. It's comfort without the compromise. Where do we see it away tonight, ladies and gentlemen? 3 Ross Street in White Hills. Where do we see that fair and reasonable opening bid or offer? Anywhere you like, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I'm in your hands. Don't leave me hanging on the quiet again, ladies and gentlemen. We've already had strike 3 on the quiet. We don't want to get to 4. Where do we go from here, ladies and gentlemen? Happy to see it wherever you like.
Yep.
Thanks for coming along, Darcy. I'm very happy that you're happy to break that silence for me. I love your work. I'm not quite sure that you'd have to check for this one tonight, though, ladies and gentlemen. Anywhere you like from here. Nice and quiet in the room again tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm happy to kick it away on a vendor bid, ladies and gentlemen, if that's what we need to do. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no further bid or offer or anything starting in the room, I'm happy to kick it away, ladies and gentlemen, with me and the vendor at $530,000 on a vendor bid, ladies and gentlemen, 530 with me and the vendor, and we'll call it away looking for a rise of 20, if you will, to take us to 550 from here. 530, first call, second call at 530, third and final call at 530,000. Do we see a rise from here to 550? We'll take the 540 live bid from here, ladies and gentlemen. So 540,000. I'm happy to extend the courtesy back to anyone looking to go from here with another 10. So can we get to the 550 now, ladies and gentlemen? 540,000 on a live bid over here, ladies and gentlemen. First call at 540. Second, third call at 540,000, ladies and gentlemen. Is there any further bid or offer from here? If not, we'll happily pass it in on that live bid, ladies and gentlemen, and start into negotiations once again. The quiet, the calm. Exactly what you're going to get on those Sunday afternoons on that deck. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if there's no further bid or offer, what we'll do is we'll kick it along again with another vendor bid to get us a little bit closer to where we need to be, ladies and gentlemen. So right at the bottom of that price guide, ladies and gentlemen, 575,000 now with the vendor, 575. Any rise from here will put you back in the lead. Even a $5,000 from here would take it to 580 and put you back in the lead. Happy to take that if that helps you out here, guys. 575 with me and the vendor. First, second, third call. Any rise from here to put you back in front, you get that exclusive right to have a chat to the vendor and see where we go. Have that negotiation. Ella's doing the work over here to see where we can go from here, ladies and gentlemen. She's got a busy night tonight. 3 properties under the hammer for Ella and the team tonight, ladies and gentlemen. One more to go from here. 576 will take the live bid to 576 from here, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll call it away one more time. If there's no further bid or offer, we'll pass it into yourselves and you can enter into that negotiation. First, second, third and final call, 576. Are we all done in silence? Well, another one in the books, ladies and gentlemen. We'll pass the property into yourselves and you'll be able to start that negotiation. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our final property of the evening. And what's been a great news so far is that the 4 properties that we have had go off tonight already have got some very strong negotiations happening at this point and I'm sure we'll be locking away some deals in this very evening. But to our final property, described as Certificate of Title Volume 11813, Folio 115, we all happily trade this for the much friendlier name of 2 Church Street in Eaglehawk. Property again offered for sale on an unconditional contract, calling for a deposit of 10% with settlement in 30 days, once again unless those prior arrangements have been made. The 3 bedrooms, the 1 bathroom, that off-street parking, and a wonderfully sensible 335 metre rough block. It's to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's a block you can mow in the time it takes the kettle to boil. Inside it's practical, comfortable and ready to go. Move straight in or lease it straight out. The home doesn't really mind. The shops, the schools, the parks, the public transport, the golf club is all very close at hand. So whether you're buying your first or buying the 5th, the sums here, ladies and gentlemen, are refreshingly simple. This is the sort of property that quietly does everything right, low fuss, low upkeep, and a location that does the heavy lifting for you. It's smart, it's simple, it's ready from day one. It's the kind of start or the kind of investment that doesn't come up as often as you think, ladies and gentlemen. So on the last one of the evening, who wants to open us up? Who wants to start us away on number 2 Church Street in Eaglehawk? Or are we going to go silent once again, ladies and gentlemen? Crickets. 350. Do you know what? We'll take the 350 and we'll start from there. So I'm happy to take the 350, but we want to try to move things along nice and quick, ladies and gentlemen. Do we see a rise from here? We'd like to get to 400 if we can. At 350,000, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call it away 3 times if we need. First call at 350. Second call, third and final call at 350,000. With no further bid or offer, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to put the vendor bid in now at 400 against you, sir, with the vendor at 400,000. Do we see a rise from there? Can you get me to 420? Take me to 420?
Yeah, right.
All right, we'll go to 420 from here. I like that. Yeah, right. I like this sort of bidding. Yes. Yeah, right. That's the kind of bids we like. Can you get me to 420? Yeah, right. No worries. Well, ladies and gentlemen, 420,000 with the man here in the front of the room, ladies and gentlemen, 420,000. First, second, third and final call at 420 on a live bid here, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'm going to raise you one more time, just a little bit, on a second vendor bid under our instructions. I'll go to 440 from here, and do you take me a little bit further, even 5 to get back in front at 445? You're locked even at 1? 441? We can only go to 430. Well, I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do from here, if we've only got 430 on a live bid, do we have any further bids or offers here, ladies and gentlemen? Well, ladies and gentlemen, with no further bid or offer, to get us on a live bid here, I'm actually happy to retract the 440 vendor bid and put you back in front at 430 on a live bid. And what we'll do, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call it away one more time. And what we'll do is then pass the property in to yourself and you can have a chat to Alla and the team. First, second, third and final call, 430. We all done and silent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll pass the property in to yourself and you'll be able to have a chat to Alla now. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the conclusion of one more Ray White in-room auction. As we said, there is plenty of negotiation happening behind the scenes at this point, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm sure we'll get some deals done tonight. We'll see you back here again in 2 weeks' time, ladies and gentlemen, for our next in-room auction with Ray White Bendigo.